Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome back to a Requiem in London. In this particular scene, members of the Ordo have gone to their common watering hole of the Hammerhead to, not necessarily to relax, but more to report about recent events. The attack at Mr. Bainforth's theater house was quite a spectacle, and many of them were there. And at this point, they need to figure out what they're going to be doing with their lives because most of them are aware that the Ordo are kind of involved with the people that attacked Baneforth. So at this point, it's just discussing whether or not we keep doing what we're doing. But since the Ordo has involved himself with so many different people, it would be rude not to keep them involved in this conversation, and have been invited to the Hammerhead, into a corner of the building known as the Poker Room, as four of the members wait there in calm silence.
Marcus will already be in the poker room. He's already paid £80 up front, so that should be good to have it nice and to themselves for the next 4 hours. And he's just sitting there looking at Julian. A focused expression on his face. Not agitated, but awake and ready for action.
Julia will take notice of him looking at him and just kind of do a almost a non-committal gesture of a shrug. Though he'll speak. I hope they can find this place and not get killed at the same time.
Oh, I'm sure they're capable enough to get here without drawing too much attention.
Baneforth took a major hit. I'm actually worried about him.
Yeah, and that Deva Archon we saw first, damn, I loaded some plenty of incendiary rounds into him, but he just took it like a champ. Fuck.
I'm gonna say that Ali is gonna walk in. We got a message from Gus, I presume.
Yeah.
She is wearing the biggest coat you've ever seen her wear. It falls onto her knees, and yeah, he's gonna walk in like a half wave to both of them. Sits down in a chair.
Hey, Ali. Glad you could make it. As soon as we've got some of the other guys around, we can give you an update from the siege of the circus.
Could you wear something a little bit less obvious?
Huh?
What's
That's
up?
obvious.
Yeah, what's up with the giant coat?
She takes it off, and there's just yeah, like you can't hide the amount of burn wounds that she has on her.
Okay, I see your point.
Thank you. Zips the jacket back up.
Good grief, what happened to you?
Short story, flare gun. Longer story, I guess that's for later.
Man, it seems like everybody's getting burned.
I managed to dodge, thankfully.
The hit that I got wasn't too bad.
You know what? At this point, let's the door open. Hey, Charlie, can I use a human crutch?
Yeah, so I guess at this point, Joshua and Charlie will enter. Charlie's got Joshua kind of like his arm around her shoulders, and she's like essentially letting him put as much weight as he wants to on her. I feel like they both probably are still in the clothes from the siege on the circus at this point. Not necessarily the armor and all, but they both probably look like they've been through hell and somehow walked out, but not without, paying the toll.
So yeah, Joshua's basically covered in bandages. Like they cover a decent portion of his face, going up into his hairline. He has, his movements are very, very slow, very, very pained. From an out of character perspective, I will use some of the ridiculous amount of blood I just gained in order to heal 5 ag. in order to heal one of the ag that I've taken, because it takes a night per level. So I'm currently sitting pretty on 3 health levels that are unticked by ag.
Oh, we're about the same then. We're equally crispy.
Hooray!
Hey.
Julian
you
will
been
actually
home
open
since
the door for
you got lit on
Baneforth
fire?
and him.
I have not, in fact, been home since I was lit on fire. Why do you ask, Doctor?
Oh, just no, I'm curious because if I've seen you since you disappeared or not.
Oh no, he has texted you though to say that he is alive.
Ugh, you're lucky you're still on fire. I would kick your ass.
Julian will speak to Baneforth, and this is not a statement may come out chiding, but it's more of a concern / curiosity, and says, "I thought your people could heal wounds." As he helps you through the door.
They can. However, my hostess will more than likely see to it in the next few hours when we return. I believed this meeting was more important, so I put off having them healed.
And I appreciate your motivation in this. As he pulls out a chair and, like I said, helps guide him to a seat.
Thank you. He is, yeah, as I said, very, very slow, very, very pained movements, but he will take the seat. He kind of looks at Charlie, and for the record, Charlie, when he says this, Joshua drinks the most ridiculous batshit concoctions you can think of. Like, what was the one I came up with? His first was like Kahlua brandy and Coke or something like that. I believe it was.
It was something terrible.
Yeah.
So he will basically just look at you and say, "Get me something from the bar."
They sell mainly vodka, cider, and fish and chips here.
She'll like make a look of like pained. Oh man, you're gonna make me order something weird, and that kind of pains me as a person. But we'll go and basically just tell the bartender to have fun with it. And then come back with something.
I like to think it's bright luminescent green and has an umbrella.
Oh, it's got multiple umbrellas in it.
Yeah.
They were gonna light it on fire, but she was like, "No, please don't."
I will just
Mom
say
with her
that
orangutan in
John,
there.
who is the guy who mans the bar, has got a very weird sense of humor and happens to be a fan of the Fallout series. So, the drink he brings you is literally called the Shimmering Sea. And yes, it is glowing unhealthily green.
She just like hands it to you, like, "All right, if you're really wanting to hurt yourself more."
He spends the point of vitae for a blush of health, and he will sip it slowly.
So, are we missing anyone? Quick head count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Chloe would decide to go on a walk this night. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in. I thought you were doing a head count of who's already in.
No, it's fine. Just anyway, fine. You intro yourself.
Chloe would decide to go on another walk. She would hear probably from one of her other Carthian contacts that, might be a good idea to check in with the alley cat, I guess they call her, and that the last known location was this one. So, venturing into Ordo territory, looks down at Roadkill. Well, go scout, and he'll, bark and run off happily.
Bork, bork.
Bork, bork. And she'll walk in, take a look at the place, and see if she can find any predatory auras to kind of see if she can.
Yeah, there is a whole bunch of predatory auras glowing from slightly to the left of the bar.
I wonder which glows brighter, the predatory auras or Joshua's drink. Only time.
Joshua's drink.
Probably Joshua's drink. Like, oh god, who's drinking that over there? And heads over.
Seeing Miss
the bartender will move towards the door and go, "Good evening, miss. How can I help you?"
I'm looking for Allie, and I heard I can find her here.
Ali who?
Alley cat?
Could you describe her to me?
Julian will
Just
open the
glances
door.
down at her phone and the text message that was sent with a brief description.
By the way, through the door you can hear the word alley cat nice and clear, so people can react.
Yeah. Julia will open the door and look over to the barkeep and says, "She's part of our party."
Ah, okay, fine.
Ian.
And he'll move out of the way, madam.
Thank you.
And he'll close the door and shift himself in front of it. Ah, I see. Everyone I contacted was able to come, it would seem.
I will say.
Oh, wait. Yep.
I was just going to say, I will say this entire time Nikolai has been sitting on the computer. He's on a little small laptop, just typing away, half listening to everybody. He is in the background, just being very, very mousy and discreet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Paid no attention to me, sort of thing.
Sounds
What
good.
are you doing over there?
He's archiving.
Researching. Nothing to do with well, something to do with this, but nothing to do with this.
Something that can be traced?
No, I have a VPN. Several, in fact.
Good man. Anyway, he might be checking up something for me. Just a little bit of private business. Anyways, yes. First of all, thank you that everyone could make it. I thought it might be a good idea to go somewhere where they might not expect us, and for us to have a bit of a catch-up. How is everyone? We sort of lost sight of each other the last time we saw each other.
You will forgive me in the current situation and circumstance, Joshua will say as he puts down his drink and he kind of pens his fingers together. I don't know this one, he'll say, pointing at the newcomer with a single black painted fingernail. And
then why doesn't everybody quickly introduce themselves so that we know who is dealing with who?
I'll start since I'm the stranger apparently in this group.
Please do.
Chloe Brothers. Carthian. Gangrel.
Welcome to the Hammerhead.
Thank you, it's good to be back in town.
I'm Marcus Irons, of the Order Dracul of Clan Ventru.
Pleasure.
Julian will nod his head to her. We met a few nights ago.
Yes, we did, Julian.
Isabel Amaro.
She'll not. I was told to check in with Allie.
He will point a finger over to the woman in the large coat.
I'm gonna move over there. It just moves on over there.
in that case, where are my manners? Joshua will say as he readjusts himself ever so slightly in the seat, attempting to get comfortable. It's that wonderful thing of when you're injured and you can never just quite sit comfortably.
Yeah.
He will say, my name is Joshua Bainforth. I am a bishop of the True Church of Longinus, the Lancea et Sanctum. And I suppose, since the edict, or rather, I am the new, I believe, and duly appointed sheriff under the princedom as controlled by Master Stainforth.
Really? That's new.
Mm-hmm.
Did I miss?
It's become complicated.
It was already complicated.
It's become more complicated.
Okay, update.
You have a gangrel, another gangrel Carthian coming to stand next to you and sit down. Who is introduce yourself as Chloe Brothers.
Ellie will, kind of half raise her hand. She is seriously, she's on like 0 willpower, so just moving is.
Don't worry
shit.
about it. Don't pain yourself, dude. Don't pain yourself. I'm gonna find a chair. I'm gonna sit right here.
Allow me to do a brief summation. The princedom of this city has been conducting illicit, immoral, and frankly disgusting experiments upon kindred, their servants. The prince himself has tried to assassinate notable and numerous kindred within the city.
Julian
Yesterday,
Julian would point to Baneforth and point to himself.
Yesterday, the sheriff of the princedom attempted to end my life before I could disseminate more information, and in the petty wish for revenge against myself for my breaking of my oaths of sworn vassalage to him, for I cannot morally and in all due conscience support the actions of this princedom. He attempted to end my life. He failed, because he has now openly and directly struck, as a member of the Lancaed Sanctum, a bishop no less. My covenant will go to war with the Invictus.
Awesome.
To clarify, Mr. Stainforth has offered me the position of the Sheriff of London under his princedom, so I assume when he claims the praxis, I will inherit the title of a divided city. What fun.
Nods slowly at this as he listens.
Charlie just kind of like makes a very concerned face and looks like she's gonna say something and then thinks maybe not right now.
He kind of half turns his head. What do you want to say, Chalder?
You've got too many hats.
I'm very good at juggling my many hats. To be fair, I only have 2 hats.
You've got too many hats.
He shrugs. As he shrugs, he winces, remembering his shoulders don't work.
She also winces watching him wince.
My dear Bishop, should I maybe see if I could find somebody for you to, get a
No,
bit more?
no,
Okay.
thank you. I have healed as much as I am physically capable for the evening. As I've said, when we return, we are currently the guests of the most powerful sorceress within the city, or at least the most powerful member of my organization within the city. She has the abilities that will necessitate my healing. However, we believed attending this meeting was more important for the time being.
Is that where you disappeared to?
Yes, she rescued me from the sheriff. She fought the sheriff to a standstill, or rather, her sorcery put the sheriff to a standstill.
Impressive.
What is this sheriff? Is this the one that no one's ever seen before?
Well, no, people have seen him. That's a fallacy. I had seen him prior to this particular instance, but he likes to keep up the air that he is an unknown, unseeable, unknowable force, but that is not the case. As a matter of fact, yesterday I saw a very human rage in him.
So who is it?
He's a very old maquette. I don't believe he's publicly known.
Julian kind of not necessarily raises up. He narrows his eyes, but it's not in a contradictory motion. It's more like a thinking, and he'll bring up the leader of the Axis of Maquette too.
I know for a fact, however, that this individual is a member of the Invictus.
He started the current ruling house.
Yes. The current prince is his puppet. Well, for expediency's sake.
More than you know.
Oh no, I think I have a fair idea. During court meetings, the sheriff is present and is providing the prince with many of his answers. Fun fact. But that's neither here nor there. So it will now be war. And I will warn my friends in the Order Dracul, there are individuals within your covenant whom are performing terrible, abysmal, and in other ways inhuman experiments in the prince's private prison, the Shard. These individuals must be stopped.
I add to that.
Sure.
So, a couple of nights ago, I did a little bit of investigation of my own, and I ran across a few ships, and fortunately didn't get to check all 4 of them, but at least one of them contained a lot of kindred. Recognized a couple of them that have disappeared over the years. They were hooked up to some sort of machine, yeah. There was old rancid blood flowing into the kindred and was vitae extracted from them. Me and the people that were with me, the Carthians, we tried to fight the at least one responsible for that, but fortunately weren't with enough at flare guns and weren't necessarily ready for an all-out fight, so we had to fuck off. But yeah, that's the thing.
I know the Ordo is capable of monstrous things. Even myself included have done things I'm not proud of. But I try to make a line that I don't pass.
This wasn't Ordo, though. At least the guy we fought. The you know his name at least, Julian Marcus. Because we got his ghoul, remember?
Yeah, something about
Yes.
a black, like, covenant or something I got from Marcus.
This guy is called Hackett. He's an Invictus.
But then again, I happen to know that the drug that these individuals are peddling, more than likely refining the kindred vitae from those whom are being kept, was developed in the Shard as a means of controlling herd populations.
Indeed.
Mm.
I'm said if it goes.
Putting it, yeah.
No, go ahead, Marcus.
To put it very bluntly, if they control the blood, the herds, the people we sometimes even care about, then they control us and we have to do everything they want to say. It is nothing else than losing control of your blood supply, is basically you losing your freedom. And that's why we're trying to oppose that. Because it's the right thing to do. And if we can liberate some poor souls, all the better.
Indeed. I have a counter therapy for mortals to take, but I have nothing for kindred.
Well, if this whole thing is a war meeting, he'll rub his chin. I do have to ask, what are you going to plan on doing about Gauntlet?
Silence.
After all,
King.
yeah, silence. He'll look around and then go. It is, after all, the predominant force for for the Invictus is task force.
It was until we obliterated a huge proportion of it yesterday.
True.
They took heavy, heavy losses yesterday. Bear in mind, most of their individuals are humans. Dozens were lost. A PMC like that cannot sustain such numbers. I don't think that they will be deployed in such large numbers again.
Well, that answers my question.
Yeah, but as far as the information that we got still exists, and though we may weaken them, probably best to either completely undermine them where they can't do anything, or or outright destroy them. And I hope I did not put Chloe into AFK.
No, I think that was just she hadn't spoken in a while,
It
and Discord
auto.
does it automatically.
Yeah, it auto kicked me into there. I'm still here.
Okay. No, messing with some settings, so I just want to make sure I didn't hit anybody.
Interestingly enough, this PMC has illegal weapons, so I'm not saying that this should be leaked, but if it was, that could get very interesting very quickly.
I just wanted to say if they had any connections with any dirty dealings and that could be brought to the press or someone else, public opinion could be swayed for them to be, let's just say, halted for a bit. You know, under investigation and all that.
And another problem, which, out of character, I know, oddly enough, in America, basically, as long as you have your gun registered, nearly everything's illegal. I don't know how that is in Europe. So.
Oh, in Europe, yeah, you have to have registered fire. Like, for example, the what they were discharging yesterday is entirely illegal to discharge in any circumstances in the United Kingdom. So, you know. No. But then again, the other thing to remember is, and this is important, from an out-of-character perspective, but an in-character perspective, obviously, always assume that the prince controls the police, because that's probably a fair.
No, I just want to make sure, because I was going over some gun law. I was like, oh, you could have a high-powered LMG as long as it's registered. It's like, that's weird. But nonetheless, character.
I recognize that cutting off their ability to get those weapons would be incredibly useful to us. But if I'm being honest, I feel like one of the big reasons that they, and she'll kind of like gesture to Joshua. God damn it. Joshua's incredibly, bandaged form. Like, this kind of got so bad is that they had it and we didn't. So if we could, like...
I have a suggestion for that. I've still got a few rounds of the incendiary bullets. If somebody could get me a small laboratory or somewhere, I could see if I can't, recreate it, and then we can have it on our side next time.
No, that's a good plan. I recognize that's a good plan, but if we're tipping off any sort of public entity to that, then, like, us having it is going to be just as bad when it gets leaked when they find out we have it.
Agreed.
Fair enough.
Flamethrowers, you mean?
They're flamethrowers, they're phosphorus rounds. If anything,
oh yeah, I totally stole a bunch of those. It's fine.
If anything, I would say, Julian kind of looks around to the crowd that was there. He kind of came in a light for that thing, for this kind of fight. We should always assume, especially with the kind of enemies we're fighting, they are going to use countermeasures to our condition.
The Invictus do not have the support of the Circle of the Crone. I know this because they framed a member of the Circle of the Crone.
That they did.
Yes.
My point is that my covenant. How does I phrase it? We are currently discussing going quite literally Old Testament on this city.
I would really like that you didn't do that, but I understand why.
Well, we have many powers at our disposal, and our art is designed for vengeance and retribution. There are many powers that we can call upon that would be terrible to behold. For example, an ability that we could cast upon the entire city of London that makes every kindred within it appear as their true form / age.
But do we really want that kind of chaos in the city?
The Invictus thrive on order.
Maybe it's time for some chaos.
But
Think about all the people that are going to be caught in the crossfire of that.
About all the collateral damage.
And the one... Oh, go ahead, Chloe. I mean, Charlie. Yeah.
If we can, localize it, then that's great, and that's real useful. But if we're doing that to London, London's huge. Do you know how many people that's going to be?
And on top
Think
of that...
about the shit show that it's been the last couple months here. Think about how many people have already died. We can't continue like this. Something's got to give.
The problem is, though, the Invictus don't care.
No, and they're not going to give up without a fight.
Yeah.
But let's not forget, history books have shown us when the mortals find things that they hate, they go at it really hard. Exposing ourselves could cause our own destruction.
Agreed.
The irony that it's you that says that is not lost on me. That raises an interesting point, by the way. Very, very slowly, Joshua turns to look at Goodman, and he says, "I'm curious, Mr. Goodman, since I am now here and have the ability in the eyes of God, if you do seek to make a confession and an act of contrition for what it is that befell those individuals."
I do seek penance for what I did. I remember their names from the obituary, and I go to their graves, and I leave things for them. And I am trying to do the best I can to gain some type of rest for not only them, but for myself.
Joshua very slowly nods his head. He will then say, "For your actions that you took to defend on lives of those whom are sitting around this table," he counts them out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I do not equate life for life. My church believes that retribution, atonement must be equal. He seems to contemplate for a few moments. How many lives did you snuff out, Mr. Goodman, in your state?
8.
We will consider the 5 lives that you helped to spare yesterday, mine own included, to count as a tally of 5. From my math, 3 remain. Save 3 more lives, and at least then in the eyes of God. You may have said that your order exists to spit in his face. However, I sense that when you contemplate those 8 lives, you feel his gaze heavy upon you. Maybe when you have saved 8, then his gaze will be more forgiving.
I say this in no disrespect to you, Baneforth, but I'm not necessarily looking for the forgiveness from God, but from them. But if you're willing to give it to me, then maybe you can give me some peace.
I find that people. Oh, sorry. Continue, Charlie.
Oh no, Charlie just kind of cocks her head to the side at it, but won't say anything right now.
That does also raise an additional question. You said it to me yesterday, Marcus, to speak to you about it today, if you actually wished a baptism.
Out of character, is that a specific name or for a ritual? Or?
No, it would be a justification for you to buy the layman merit.
Mm-hmm. If I had that, I could never buy the casual user one, right?
No, I think you can have them all, actually. I don't think they're limited.
Yeah, they just what more is normally you're limited to 5 dots and covenant status that you can spread throughout everything. This basically says you spend two merit dots instead, and instead of being limited, you have no limit.
Okay. Marcus will answer. What would this baptism entail?
You can still be a member of your current covenant. That is fine. It is merely the fact that you accept the tenets and the teachings of Longinus, that you will uphold those tenets, attend his services when you are able, and will live the life as set down, will live a decent on life as set down in his annals.
Out of character, what are the 10 tenets again? I don't think Marcus got to hear those yet.
Give me 20 seconds while I got the covenant book.
Sorry.
They are. Excuse me. Can I put out the fucking artwork on the cover of the Lancashire Sanctum because metal as fuck?
This game is good.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I see. This was clearly written under the original White Wolf when indexes were a thing of the past.
Big oof.
For the future.
Actually, wait, hang on. Let's just see if I can Google it.
As I guess Badeforth is in deep thought, Julian would look over to Miss Brothers and says, "How do you feel about this as a high-ranking member of the Carthians?"
She just kind of looks up, and as she's just been listening to this, and she's looking around, she's like, honestly, I don't know. I'm still trying to absorb everything that's been happening over these past few days since I've gotten back from out of town, looking at like the injuries sustained, listening to the stories of like what kind of weaponry was used, what exactly happened, and it's just like, just looks at Allie, because she's like the only other Carthian that she knows of in this room, and just be like, what happened over the months I was gone? It's like this whole other emotion has like come from her, and she's just like, I've never been confused over the 20 years that I've been here in London, and I go on one out-of-town mission, and hell fucking raises.
Oh, sort of that, I suppose. I don't know where it started for everyone else, but for me at least, it started by investigating this drug that's been on the market and finding out that it created by Kindred, which turned out to be a combination of just an Ordo people. Yeah, this all happened.
Got it. And you guys were just almost assassinated by the prince's men?
I guess this is the second time for me, but that's neither here nor there.
Alright, now I'm curious, because they were targeting you, like, part of the group, or you yourself alone?
So, so long story short is, I made some decisions, and they resulted in consequences, and it's all fixed now. It's not a thing anymore, but yeah, I kind of was getting hunted down for a kind of separate reason, but it's fine now. It's fine.
By Invictus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Victus have
Noted.
even like
Noted.
to hunt down their own members, so
It's fine. It's fine. That problem's more or less taken care of in the personal sense. In the larger sense, definitely still an issue. But in this specific individual scenario, not an issue.
Okay.
Oh god, it's Bishop! Run away!
odds.
It's Johnny.
The big thing I would say, Miss Brothers.
Don't even fucking joke about that, Bishop. If the lockdown wasn't ending soon, I swear to God, I would shining this entire house.
Oh, goodness.
The main thing I would
Continue.
say, Miss Brothers.
Back to
is
game. Oh,
Things have been moving and shaking in your absence. And unfortunately, you're going to be involved with a conflict, and I hope you're ready for it.
Right. So, my opinion on it. When do we go to war?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, war has started. It's just the battles now. And on top of that, as an Ordo, we need to figure out what side we're on. Which I am very sure, knowing the Ordo as I do, there's several.
The answer to that is not as literal as you might think. So, as it stands at this moment in time. Actually, since Bishop is here, I can actually pump him for information about things because God knows Joshua has information that Evan doesn't. Bishop, have we any idea a time frame? Obviously, not necessarily in real world days, but in-game wibbly time, when we're going to be doing that thing where we go and brutally murder fuck everything in the shard that moves?
There is no timeline on that currently. You've received no word on that.
Okay, Nita. The Carthians have the location of the prince's prison in the shard. I have no doubt that they're going to go and Bastille all over it, because to Bastille is a verb when it comes to the Carthians, I'm led to understand.
It's been a while since I've had a good fight.
Then the organization, the rulership of my covenant will meet. The synod will meet. Bishop insert name of nice wheelchair lady whose name I can't remember.
Aurelia? Question mark?
Yes, Bishop Aurelia Python.
Aurelia, is it Python like the snake?
Yes.
Cool. Python. Bishop Aurelia Python, who is one of the most senior of our bishops and the most powerful of our Theban sorcerers, witnessed the sheriff's actions yesterday, which means that the synod will have no doubt. I have no doubt that they will vote, for we do vote amongst ourselves, that there will be conflict. An assault upon one of the bishops in their own home cannot go unavoided and cannot go unanswered. As for what the Carthians will do, I don't know. My covenant will more than likely offer to lend them support, but we will see. The Circle of the Crone have made no such overtures, though I know that they do not bear the princedom any goodwill, considering the prince conspired to strip one of their most potent members of her status and position. But then again, they are also disorganized.
Pretty sure that the circle will be on our side.
Now, here's something I wanted to bring up concerning the Circle of the Crone. A lot of people outside of the circle tend to make the mistake of looking at them just as one unified block. We are dealing here with different cults, different gods and goddesses that they worship. And the good news is, Mr. Goodman and I have at least a favor we could call in with the Andrastians. But as far as the Cernians are concerned, I got the feeling that they were quite antagonistic towards their Covenant members, let's put it that way. So I don't know how easy or difficult it will be to win them on our side, because the more allies we have, the better we could utilize different abilities in the battles to come.
Secondary question. We're kind of in a situation of beggars can't be choosers. And as nice as it would be to have people on our side, like full on, I feel like shooting for not on their side is also a real good goal.
There is one complicating factor that I am not sure if anyone has contemplated.
Pray tell.
Where does Valarius stand?
You mean that fuck off potent Ventrue?
Yes.
Looks extremely uncomfortable when you say that.
Makes note of that.
Well, if my educated guess would say that man should be asleep in a month or so. I'm surprised
No.
he's still awake.
Valerius has... Fun facts time. Valerius has never entered torpor.
That's why I say that.
Mm-hmm.
He has to be absolutely running on fumes by now.
No.
How is it even possible, Julian, with what we know, even we know the odd break has to be had.
Valerius can summon fire from his fingertips. There is only one ritual I've ever heard of that is practiced by the elders of my clan that can summon true fire. And he did it without effort.
Now here's the thing. I can't give you many details, but there is a path a dragon can follow to acquire such an ability if he or she is lucky. However, it is fraught with a lot of danger until you've fully mastered it.
And Marcus means lucky. If you weren't immortal with those particular gifts when you take this path, it's near impossible outside of nearly diablerizing people over and over again to force it into your system. I mean, if you're telling me he's creating real fire, nothing that's a simile of it, either he is, as you said, that old and using things beyond the history books, or he has access to coils that typically are supposed to stay with us.
Well, bear in mind, he predates your organization. Who is to say that you are the first entities who had what you would call coils?
Then again, I know that the Lankea et Sanctum wasn't always around. And we have rumors. We've heard the rumors that your brand of sorcery was found in Thebes. Who's to say it wasn't being used by some sun worshippers long, long before?
Let's not drag on a rabbit hole of who had who. The main thing is he had.
No, but my point is that where does he fall? He is not going into torpor anytime soon. I guarantee you of that. But I also know that he does not bear the prince any love whatsoever.
Plus, there is something else. If he hasn't gone into torpor to rest, and he is of my clan, then frankly, I'm surprised we are not seeing some grade A delusions or just outright madness from him.
Julian will nod to that. That is odd how coherent he was if he has never slept.
If somebody's going through all the effort of making sure they're not going into torpor in the first place, I feel like it would follow that they're gonna have a way to keep themselves from going wonky in the head.
But that's the
Whether it's like above board, that's up for debate, but there's probably something there stopping the whole kookiness.
But that's an inevitability of our kind. We all eventually lose our minds once we get to a certain age. It's just the pressure of existing for so long.
Have you ever considered he went to people who aren't our kind? There are other things in this world.
I have one of them who lives in room 21A. I also technically have one who lives in 26B, but then again, he's insane and likes to teleport. But that's neither here nor there.
Julian kind of frowns at that, and kind of moves his hat for a moment and thinks about that.
Charlie just kind of shrugs.
What? You want to tell me you have a pet werewolf?
I believe he's a mage, but yes.
Ah, jeepers, not a will worker.
I also wouldn't call him. I wouldn't call him a pet. I think of him more as a.
Quick note, you haven't seen Tony in a while.
Yeah, no, I haven't. Well, to be fair, it's because I don't want to bother you with scene requests when you're already snowed under with scene requests. But
I would like to mention that note that at the mention of werewolf, Chloe kind of stiffens, gives a little shiver, and then goes back to listening.
I've only ever heard rumors of the will workers, mages, shamans, witches, whatever you want to call them. And I thought the general rule of thumb for all of our kind...
They are not to be messed with. Whatever you do, don't mess with them. And Marcus has got some really big, like a very serious expression on his face, eyes almost rolling out of his head. Like, he's putting emphasis on the fact,
I used to be a crusader. When it was that things went bump in the night, we were the things that literally bumped back. I understand these premises.
But what I'm saying is, I thought the main rule of all of those things is keep to your own. Don't try to interact with each other to the utmost minimum, so we don't have issues.
But you danced around my question 3 times now. Where does Valerius stand? Does anyone actually know? Has he in any way, I don't know. This is a point of contention. He is the most powerful kindred I have ever seen. The only ones that come vaguely close are the sheriff and the archbishop, who are both incredibly old and terrifying, but still feel nothing like he does. I'm trying to clarify a point. Is there a schism in the Invictus? Will he try and claim the throne again? Or is he just going to let his childer sit on the throne?
I couldn't tell you.
I haven't really had a chance to speak to him yet. I mean, after all, the guy is several lifetimes old. Yeah.
So how do we find that out?
If we only had someone who had a link to him, then maybe we could find out.
Out of character, you're not unless someone figures out Nikolai's thing. He's not going to say a word.
The only person of power that I can try to interact with, which may not want to talk to me right now, it would be the wolf. Even then, like you said.
Oh, not that motherfucker.
Eventually, we're gonna have to interact with him.
Yeah, I just don't like the idea of him using trigger words and then puppeteering me around.
Oh, as far
Yes,
as
trigger words on you?
He might have. Or if not him, his associate.
As far as the Invictus go, they're basically like the Ordo. They're not all in it. A couple of houses that are, a couple of houses that aren't. Could potentially try and see if we could hide in that. Some. I don't know. I think it's worthwhile. I can.
So, would it be safe to say that simply that we don't know, and of course, be careful?
I could give you the houses that are in this conflict actively working against us and basically with against
That would be
House
appreciated.
Valerius and House Blacktail. Once in.
Well, if Valerius behaves like any of the older Venture I know, then the case is clear. He will want to be either directly or indirectly in control.
I need to rectify my previous statement because I'm like mixing up things. Houses in conflict with each other are House Valerius and House Blacktomb.
So
Roger
I don't. So yeah, logic would ask the question: why would he try to help competitors? Or I don't know. Maybe he even thinks of them as usurpers.
Because chaos is a real convenient way to sweep in and take control of a situation?
Oh, you mean manufacturing a problem and then offering the solution?
Yeah, isn't that called like hero syndrome or something?
Yes.
Yeah, red flagging.
Scratches his head and says, I don't think Valerius wants to rule. I think if you did, he would have done it by now.
Why you say that?
You seem pretty sure about that.
Unless
Shrugs.
he's waiting for the opportune moment, to quote a famous pirate.
Well, maybe one or the other, but Valerius is powerful. But if the city united against him, he couldn't stand. It's one of those situations of you have to have at least some popular support to rule, whether he has it or not. Joshua shrugs. But the simple fact of the matter is that he also represents the Invictus how they used to be, back when they still had honor and chivalry, and that's something he said that he saw in me that he liked, which was an interesting concept, but or that he found novel, quote unquote. But but he represents how they used to be, and maybe they don't view him as being the individual who can take them forward.
Honestly,
There
the
is
more
all.
chaos we can get within the Invictus would be help for us. It would that they would be fighting both in-house and out-of-house basically. So it could be a bonus if we can help this conflict along. By the Invictus.
Now, here is something maybe the good bishop or somebody else can help me out with. Ever since I saw Stainforth and Valerius having their talks, their interactions, even from a distance, there were just certain telltale signs that made it very clear what kind of relationship those two have.
Oh, they're sire and child.
Not only that, but there seems to be a rift between the two of them. There is some major disagreement that has torn them apart.
Yes, one of them is in the Carthians, one of them is in the Invictus.
Mm.
They are very different people. Ultimately, I believe it is more a case of what it makes a worthy son to a father who cannot view him as worthy. Or maybe wanting to follow in one's father's footsteps when it is the footsteps are, well, not with the steps that you would ever wish to take.
Marcus just looks away. It's almost as if the bishop mentioned something that is rather unpleasant to him.
What are the chances it gets petty of one person picks one side and the other takes the other just kind of out of spite and out of rebellion?
Simple. There's a bigger fish to fry. We'll put inner differences aside. After that, who knows?
That's very fair.
Hmm. Does anyone know if Constantine is still in town?
From
He
what I've heard,
is in fact in town. As a
Once
I
fact,
again, once again, you
last
just
time
hear Joshua. Once again, you just hear Joshua cough hack.
Mr. Mr. Bainforth, please, let's not go around making fun of each other now. This war is supposed to keep us together, right?
as unpleasant as he did both of us a very big service, I would argue.
Me too.
But as of a couple nights ago, he's in town. And I think he's got another target who's in town as well, so I would go to assume he's still around.
Yeah, I mean, call me the old guy that might be banging on about an old point, but I've got the feeling at least somebody should try to keep an eye on the you-know-whats
Oh, I have.
situation while everyone else is concentrating on storming the Bastille.
Oh,
Because
What
I have
else is going on?
I have a
Charlie
plan
makes
for
a
them.
face at the mention of the you know what.
What's going on?
That is not something we are currently at liberty to discuss.
You may not tell us when just the two of us and not such a big group.
Fair enough.
But Mr. Irons, I have a plan that will aid us in the eradication of this issue.
I just wanted to say, because the thing is, we are not facing one crisis, we're facing a small handful, and our success will also be measured on how we juggle the other crises. If not all of them just might start ganging up on us before we have a chance.
The mayor have already had the opportunity to do that.
I would say the main thing right now is that we we know more than likely what our enemies are. We're not sure about our allies. That we are relatively in agreement to aid each other in ways that we can best possibly can. And to this point, that not necessarily needs to be weekly, but we should have meetings when new information arises and when actions are taken. If there's if anything that's going to be lethal to us, it will be miscommunication.
Quite right.
But for now, as Dillian kind of turns his eyes to Baneforth, we should recover, gather our wits about us, and begin our moves.
I quite agree.
Then, as Julian stands up, I'm not necessarily the leader, so I'm not going to say the court is adjourned, but I wish to be excused.
Yes, we should also withdraw. It has been a pleasure speaking to you all. However, the evening does draw on.
Fair enough. And I'll see if I can get a hand of my hand on Testament of Longinus, and I'll have a quick read up what those 10 commandments are. If I can agree to them, I'll let you know.
As you like.
But in the meantime, for all who have to go, I wish you all safe travels, good night, and frankly, good luck.
Izzy, can we get ice cream on the way home?
Can I go home with you? I don't have a home anymore, remember?
Oh, sure. I'm pretty sure that Miss Python or Bishop Python will enjoy looking at you disapprovingly. She is a master of looking at you disapprovingly.
She should get in line.
Then, my fellow kindred, drink deep, drink deep, and be quick. Good day, or good night. And Julian will leave the poker room.
Marcus looks after him for like 2 minutes.
I guess the Lankea crew and Izzy will also leave the poker room and go get ice cream.
As they leave, Charlie will just pass Marcus a knife. His Bowie knife, to be specific.
Marcus takes it in the tip, gives it a nice flip, catches it and just says, "Excellent. You can borrow this any time you want."
She'll nod and then go get ice cream with her family.
Have a good one, guys. I'll figure out under what railway cart I can hide myself away from.
Marcus, do you want to get ice cream with us?
You know what? Ice cream is life, and I'm all about getting life. So let's go.
We intend to reoccupy the theater in a day or two. It's going to need fixing.
Tilts his head as they leave, and anyone with supernatural hearing can hear him say to Julian. Why
Julian
are people...
left.
Oh, never mind then. Then mutters to himself, why are people so obsessed with ice cream? It just tastes like ash.
It's the thought that counts.
I haven't had a caramel sundae in years.
Just shrugs.
Again, it's the thought that counts.
So I guess we can end the scene here, people.
I'm
I
guessing.
say yes. Okay. Anyway, we're cutting it here, unless there are any other declarations. Nope. In that
Besides the fact that
case,
Chloe's incredibly confused at what the hell is happening in her city.
oh, absolutely. No, it's fine. But we are not done yet. So, with that
But
out
wait,
of the way,
there's more.
excuse me, madam. There are some people who probably want to finish watching this.
True.
Anyway, in this case, thank you players for playing. Thank you watchers for watching. This was another session for Requiem for London. See you next time.